In June of 2023, you deadlifted 815
Hmm.
pounds. You said in that post that you shared, you said you had recently transitioned from conventional to sumo.
Hmm.
What led you to change your stances from conventional to sumo? And do you incorporate both sumo and conventional in your training?
So nowadays, I don't deadlift outside of like RDLs really all that much
Okay.
anymore. Simply because once I hit that 800 mark, I was really, really content with that. That was kind of like a life goal for me. And then when I started pro wrestling, then I started to try to arrange my training around what I deem my weaknesses to be. So deadlift, regardless if I ever do it again, will always be a strength of mine. You know,
Yeah.
I promise that I could probably maintain 500 to 600 really well. Up until that point too, I stopped training conventional, but I was still maintaining a 700 conventional deadlift without really any practice. So when it comes to wrestling nowadays, I just try to pick implements where it's going to test the length of my muscles in particular positions, and still try to get strong, but in positions that are a little bit more compromising, so I have a little bit more durability when it comes to my
Smart.
particular sport, right?
Smart.
Yeah, and because when I say that, sometimes people think, "Oh, you're not." You're not for deadlifting anymore. You think it's dangerous or whatever. Like, no,
Did you hear what I said,
yeah,
motherfucker?
yeah. No, like I still think deadlifting is a phenomenal variation to do. But at the end of the day, for what I'm doing, the amount of time and energy it would take to add 5 pounds to it is not worth the potential detrimental effects because I'm needing to go so heavy for it. So if I can just keep it at a maintenance base with
Mm-hmm.
minimal effort, but then pick other exercises that I'm clearly weak at
Yep.
and put that time into those things, then I just become a better overall athlete. So,
Not to
but
mention, like, if you're deadlifting, like, once you get to like 5 plates, six
yeah,
plates, 7 plates, like, that's a long time in the gym,
yeah,
dude.
totally. Yeah,
It's
it
a
is.
long, like, never mind
1000%.
the energy and the injury risk and all that. It's like, fuck, I could spend my time doing so many other things that would address a legitimate weakness that I have rather than only focusing on this really big strength that I have.
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you how many times I went to the gym for squatting or deadlifting, and that was literally the only exercise that I did, you know?
It takes a long
It's
time.
a
And
long
sometimes you got to
time.
wait for other plates to open
Yeah,
up. So it's like, yeah.
right. 100%. So nowadays, that's my main focus. But back then, I was, so I had reached a 765 deadlift when I was at 235 pounds body weight. And then I had just barely missed 800 when I was about 240 pounds body weight. Then I lost a bunch of weight for a big jiu-jitsu competition that I had, and ever since then I've maintained about 200 to 205. And then I started doing deadlifting again after that. I got up to a 740-pound conventional deadlift, which was like 3.7 times body weight or something like that. And then I was signed up to do like basically my last powerlifting competition shortly after I moved to Texas. And there's a group of lifters down in Houston that all are pretty much like the best in the sport right now. They all deadlift at the time at least over 800. Now a lot of them are over 900, and they're all like 23, 24,
These
25 year
young
old
kids are
kids. Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
it's insane. And so I went down there and I was going to deadlift with them, but the week prior I had kind of
Is that Dawson?
Dawson was my original coach,
Okay, okay.
but he lives in North Carolina.
Got it.
But
Okay.
my friends that I met through Dawson, Derek Thistlethwaite, Sawyer Klatt, Johnny
Yep.
Kaufman, Nabil,
Yes.
they're all in Houston.
Got it. Okay.
And so I went down there one time and I had pulled my back doing conventional the week prior. Not too bad, but a little bit. So I wasn't going to do conventional again. So I was like, maybe I'll just try sumo, you know? And I had done sumo in the past, but never super technically. I always kind of yanked it off the ground because I was explosive.
Yeah.
But then when I started doing it, I remember my friend Johnny seeing my stance and like that's really good positioning for somebody that never does sumo. And the main reason why I can get in good position is because externally I can rotate my hips well.
Yeah.
And then my arms are long. So with good external rotation of the hips and long arms, that's usually set yourself up for a good sumo position, cheater position, basically. So he kind of like coached me through a couple reps on that one. And the next week I came back and went a little bit heavier. And I started to kind of really dissect what sumo was from a much more technical aspect. And he was just like, you know, you'll be able to deadlift 800 in no time. I'm like, really? With no like effort or dedication? That sounds great. Because with conventional, just to my point from earlier, I was just like ramming my head against the wall, trying to gain every 5 pounds that I could. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just a lot of effort when at the time I was still doing jujitsu and starting my pro wrestling. So Is it possible? Maybe, but sometimes it's not worth finding out. So when he was like, oh yeah, you could definitely do 800. So then I adjusted my form a little bit, and then the next week I deadlifted 765, and my numbers were going up really quickly, not because I was getting any stronger, but just because I was adapting to the technical adaptations of it.
Yep.
And then I think the video you're referencing was maybe like 3 or 4 weeks later. And I went back home to Arizona. I was feeling good that day. And, I wedged my hips in well. I was very patient off the floor, and then just went up.
It was tough off the floor, but it came up fast after that.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I learned from those guys with sumo is the patience aspect of it. Whereas conventional, I've always just kind of yanked it off the floor. So I've known within the first second or two whether or not I was going to get it.
Yeah.
Versus sumo, visually, he's stuck. But then you wait like a second or two longer. It's like you're kind of doing this almost like video game-esque charge up of like a racing video game where they kind of like rev the engine. That's kind of how I see it. And then you finally step on the gas and the bar comes up. But I found that when I rushed the pull, then it would just immediately pull me out of position. It would eat me.
Yeah.
But if I can stay in this window that's literally about this wide and be patient and stay here the whole entire time, then I can get most any weight to move as long as I stay within that window.
Yep.
And that's where like you see a lot of sumo pullers that don't look like they should lift any more than 225 are now deadlifting 800 or whatever pounds because they're built for it. They are very strong, but then also technically they're very sound and leveraging what their body is making them work with. And so for me, that was the most I've lifted, but I think the most weight that I'm proud of lifting is my 200 pound or my 800 pound deadlift at 200 pound body weight, which was 4 times body weight exactly. That one was basically the prime example of what I'm talking about, where if I wasn't patient off the floor and if I wasn't staying in that tight window, I 100% would have failed, just because like it was like a grinder to say the least, but I was super patient and stayed in the position. And the main reason, to answer your question, I switched was simply to try to hit that 800 mark really and just see if I could do it, So
dude, I deadlifted 530 at 1132. So I hit that 4 times as well. And it was with it was sumo as well. And you were describing like it. I've found it's easier to be more explosive with conventional. I feel like conventional is more similar to like a box jump.
Yeah, basically, right.
You can essentially be super, super explosive, and obviously you need to be explosive in order to lift 800 pounds. But I almost liken the initiation of the sumo deadlift to like if you're trying to merge onto the highway. You'll like slowly press the pedal down a little bit, and then boom, then you hit the gas really hard. There's a point where, and I think this is very difficult for beginner and even intermediate lifters to understand. It takes time to build up enough force to essentially start moving the bar. It's unlike almost any other lift where it's like you can like a dumbbell bench press or whatever you're doing, like you can create that force immediately to reverse that weight, to lift that weight concentrically. But with a really heavy deadlift, it's not going to happen immediately. Sometimes it takes time, like literally 3, 4, 5 seconds, which feels like an eternity to get that weight to essentially apply equal and slightly more force than the bar is applying into the ground to slowly lift it up. If you can just wait until it's a little bit off the ground, boom, you lock those knees out, hips come through, boom, it's good. But it takes its patience. And one of the things I would have a lot of my lifters do, inner circle members, whatever, is you have to record yourself, because a lot of times, more often than not, when people are like, oh, it's just not coming off the ground, I'm like, record yourself. Tell me how long you're actively trying. And oftentimes it's less than a second. Yeah, right. They'll pull, done. It's like, I want you to do 3 to 5 seconds before you decide to quit. And within those 3 to 5 seconds, that bar is coming off the ground. It takes patience. Yeah,
truly. And it's so weird because there's no other way to really describe it other than, just give yourself another couple seconds and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And it's scary because they're like, it's under a lot of tension and for a significant amount of time. But anyone who's done like a pause squat, for example, and you've recorded it, you know that like you might think you're doing 2 seconds and you've paused for maybe a fraction of a second. Record your lift so you can see exactly how long it's taking you, because you might think it felt like forever, but you're actually you barely tried for a full second.